It's me, AkashaWolf, and today is Tarot Tuesday, and we are going to be talking about the Magician. So I'm going to try to be quick and straight to the point, but first I want to remind you guys that at the end of every Tarot Tuesday video I will be doing a mini reading, and I'm going to try to make it as interactive as I can. What you do is you can click on any of the 3 cards and it should take you to another video that provides you with your reading and what the card that you chose was. And if for some reason you're not able to click on it and it doesn't direct you over, you will be able to find those exact cards in the description below. Now let's get into the Magician. So the Magician is absolutely one of my favorite cards. I know I said that before about the Fool, but I really do like the Magician card. Every time I see it, I know something is going to happen, and it's usually something big. So it always means something is in like the works. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta make sure I'm ready because something big is coming and I'm gonna be super excited. The Magician is from the Major Arcana. So if you decide to use this in any type of mojo bag or spell, then I would recommend anything that has to do with protection or making things happen, or even power and energy. In itself, it's almost like its own little altar because it does have an altar set up. Most of them do anyway. So it really makes things happen. It's kind of like bay leaf. Bay leaf is like the herb that you go for when you want to make a wish and you want it to happen. That is like the #1 herb when it comes to wishes. I've had a lot of positive responses from bay leaf, so that's what the Magician reminds me of. So if you do a wish spell, you can pair up the Magician and even bay leaf in a mojo bag. Alright, now let's start with the element. The element is air. The planet is Mercury, and the reason why the planet is Mercury is because Magician is associated with Virgo, so the zodiac sign Virgo. And I know I haven't mentioned zodiac signs with any of the other cards, but with this one you're going to end up seeing it in one of the cards I'll be showing to you. So again, what spell use would be action, making things happen, wishes, power, energy. And the stone that you could pair with it would be quartz crystal, so clear quartz. Now as for it being right side up, its connection is self-aware, magic goals, power, taking action, protection, willpower, maybe even selling things, projects, talent, someone who is smart, a teacher, and someone who has a very old soul. So not only does it represent just making things happen, it can represent an individual who's extremely smart and very powerful in their craft. Now the Magician in reverse. So the Magician in reverse can represent an individual who's extremely prideful. They are smart, but they think way too highly of themselves. It can represent theft and poor timing, so if it's in reverse, or if you feel a different energy from this card, it's very possible that this is not the time for action, and maybe even like a spell that you had in mind. If you receive this card when you plan on doing a spell, then this is probably the okay for you to do this spell, like this is the perfect time. But if you do receive it in reverse, then that is probably a sign that you should reconsider and do this spell at a separate time, or maybe even reconsider the spell altogether. Arrogance, lack of self-belief, someone who acts without thinking, a show-off, and someone who's extremely scatterbrained. Alright you guys, now let's take a closer look at the Magician. In the Rider-Waite deck, you can see it's the representation of a Magician. And you can see that he is standing at his altar, and it looks like he's performing a ritual or a spell. And above him you can see the infinity sign. So what that would represent to me would be unlimited knowledge or unlimited energy. Let's leave it at that for the Rider-Waite version, because I do want to talk a little bit more about the Magicians in these cards here. So as you can see, we have a bunch of different versions of the Magician, and in the description of the Magician, it can represent someone who is confident, someone who's cocky, or has a bad attitude, which kind of is what we're seeing here in the astrology version of the Magician. He does not look happy. Like, he looks really mad. Let's get like a little bit closer. Yeah, if you see his face, he doesn't look happy. Kind of looks a little cocky and is like, whatever. And you can see that it's also Mercury right above him. So Mercury represents communication. And that's why when Mercury is in retrograde, you have like a lot of fights or a lot of things that don't come across the way they should when you explain something, I guess. Or when you're just talking to someone, they may take it the wrong way. So that's why people have problems with Mercury being in retrograde. Now, if you look next to him, right up there, you can see the symbol for Virgo. So that's great. This guy is a mad, upset Virgo. Not a good representation. I don't think I'm like that. But I don't know. There might be Virgos out there like that. But to me, it seems like he's not so happy. Now, for the other version of the Magician on how some individuals interpret him, he can be interpreted as confident. Someone who is extremely confident and they feel like they can do just about anything. And as you can see, this individual looks like he's very confident in his own power, his own energy, and his magic, because here you can see he is performing magic. And usually what this card can represent is something in the works, or something you need to get in the works, something you need to work on. And as soon as you start working on it, then it's going to happen. It'll be very quickly. Usually when I see this card in a reading, whatever the individual may be asking about, or whatever may pop up in the reading that we're talking about, this card tells me like this situation is going to happen like immediately. It's very quick, like the Ace of Wands, but this is very quick and it's going to happen. That's what this card represents to me. Now, if you look in this version of the Magician, you can see this is a person who has power and energy, but they do not have power or energy within themselves. So again, we have another representation of maybe the opposite of a magician. So if you may like see it upside down, or even in this version, they don't really have confidence. She actually looks very sad and has black tears. It also looks like maybe that they're lost and haven't found their path. Something here in this dragon deck is something that I see as well. This is someone who has an idea of what they want or what they believe in, but they still haven't decided yet. So they're seeking knowledge. And that's how I see this card. The Magician could also represent to you, or whatever you may see, the search for your path or your place. If you look here, we have another version of a very confident magician. Confident in his work, his energy, and his connection to the earth and the universe. And over here, this is my mermaid deck that I like to use a lot. And when I see this version of the Magician, sometimes it appears to me as a pregnancy for some reason. And that's not like a really big thing with the Magician card, but a lot of times this card has come up and I have seen like a pregnancy coming. And if you look up here, she has a caduceus, or also known as caduceus, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So again, we're seeing something that has to do with like medical field. So maybe that's another reason why, for some reason, I see pregnancy. That's probably how I interpret it. And if you look really closely, her hair does go into the symbol of the infinity symbol. To me, the caduceus also kind of represents like kundalini or energy, going through all the chakras, and basically like 100% balance in energy. For some reason, that's what it represents to me. And again, I'm kind of seeing that this individual is very confident in their energy and what they're doing. So it's something that will happen. That's how I interpret it. So guys, let me know what the Magician means to you down in the comments below.